Okay, so leaky gut. First, let me talk about symptoms of leaky gut because they're really broad. Often we don't necessarily think of it. So poor immune system. So if you've ever been diagnosed with autoimmune condition, if you tend to get sick easily, I think of leaky gut. Bloating, diarrhea, constipation, gas, headaches, brain fog, memory loss. This can all be coming from leaky gut. Fatigue, abdominal weight increase or abdominal bloating, metabolic syndrome. So increased circumference around the abdomen. Any like minor blood sugar dysregulation signs where maybe like you've gone in and your blood sugars are slightly elevated. Skin rashes, acne, eczema, rosacea, cravings for sugar, right? If the cravings are big and intense for sugar or carbs, joint pain, arthritis, aches and pains in the body, that we can definitely think leaky gut. Yeast overgrowth, if you have recurrent yeast infections, but also if you've been diagnosed with candida or just yeast overgrowth. Digestive symptoms other than what I've already described, heartburn, migraines, hives, anxiety, depression, water retention, puffiness. Even if you've been diagnosed with estrogen dominance, I want you to think leaky gut, or that your body doesn't detoxify well. So obviously it's really broad. And so it's something that I think most all of us, it's important for us to consider. If you've ever been on antibiotics, if you've ever taken ibuprofen, if you've ever been on the birth control pill, we have to consider the possibility of leaky gut. How do we test it? Why is it bad? That's a little bit more difficult. Okay. A GI map is going to be the best test to look at your stool and your gut microbiome and to see if there's yeast overgrowth or parasites or, certain bacteria that are out of whack. But to really measure leaky gut isn't necessarily a thing that I know of. But we do know that the gut is just an amazing organ. And it's obviously divided into different zones. And I want you to know that there is more bacteria in the gut than stars in the Milky Way. We're talking trillions versus billions. We as humans are more our microbiome than we are human cells. We're like 90% microbiome, 10% human cells. So when we talk about your gut biosis, it is a big conversation. So remember, we first put food into our mouth, we're masticating, we're chewing, that's stimulating digestive enzymes, and the digestion process starts in the mouth. So for some individuals, actually looking at oral biosis to look at our microbiome in our mouth can be a real thing. So if you're someone who has a lot of dental stuff, like Heidi, we had a correspondence on one of the group calls, and I suggested actually getting an oral probiotic. There is such a thing. So it literally starts there. Then in our stomach, we want our stomach to be an acidic environment. And so for some individuals, they're just not simply breaking down food like we would ideally want your body to because the stomach's not acidic enough. Maybe your body's not producing bile. Maybe your liver is feeling kind of sluggish. Maybe you've been using antacids and Tums and Tagamet or Prilosec or any of those things. And so for some women, you can look up the HCl challenge. So the HCl challenge, look it up. There's a whole protocol, but you can take a supplement of HCl before a meal and you'll up the dose each meal until you feel that kind of acidity in your stomach. And then from that point forward, drop down a dose to help your body better digest. In some scenarios, adding digestive enzymes before a meal can really make a difference to just simply up level how the body starts that digestion and breakdown in the stomach. And then as food leaves the stomach, it actually becomes more alkaline and utilizing bile from the gallbladder as well as the liver. So leaky gut happens in the small bowel and the colon. I want you to keep in mind that our intestines are only one cell layer thick. Okay, it's a very permeable membrane. Okay, this is where we are actually absorbing the nutrients from the food that we're eating. This is where our immune system, 70% of our immune system exists here in our gut. 90% of our serotonin production exists in the gut. And so if you imagine cheesecloth or like like a very permeable membrane. It's 1 cell layer thick. And so skin, as an example, is 3 layers deep. So if you just think about your skin, it actually has 3 layers. And think about how easily we can cut through it and bleed. When we're talking about our intestines, it's 1 cell layer thick. And so what happens with leaky gut is it literally, if you imagine that cheesecloth, rather than the semi-permeable little tiny pukas or holes, with leaky gut, the holes become large. There's been an onslaught that has degraded the integrity of that semi-permeable membrane. And now partially digested enzymes and yeast and bacteria and proteins are able to sneak through. So the body's losing its ability to really absorb appropriately, and the wrong stuff is getting through. Some of that stuff actually crosses over the blood-brain barrier, which is why when I give the whole laundry list of brain fog and fatigue and even dementia can sometimes be coming in from leaky gut.